Hey, welcome to Mikey's Video Game Madness. Today we're playing Beyond Good and Evil HD on the PlayStation 3. Also available on the Xbox 360 Live Arcade. I guess PlayStation 3 would be PlayStation Network. If you were lucky enough and you're a PlayStation Plus member, I don't know what games they have for Gold for Live or if they ever had this for Gold for Live, but I think it was last month or the month before. It's December 2015, and they actually gave this game out for free. I actually happened to buy this game earlier. I actually bought the original. This is the HD version. If anything appears to be cropped, that's not in the game. It's because I cropped it because my video recorder doesn't really care to take a HD signal from AV cables and put it in the proper aspect ratio without adding bars to the side. I don't know why. I don't know if it's something to do with me having like a glitchy device, or maybe they all work that way. I don't know, but I cropped it, but unfortunately to keep the proper aspect ratio, the way it does it is that it cuts off some of the sides of the video on the top and bottom because I had to crop it, and it wants to stay in the proper aspect ratio because it didn't render it correctly. Excuse me. I have the hiccups and I didn't get them until I started doing the video, so I apologize. But anyway, back to talking about the game. Sorry about the cough. Like I said, it's bronchitis leftovers that never really went away. It takes months, unfortunately. I wasn't sure if this was going to be done next year or this year. That's why I didn't make any promises on my Game of the Year videos, because it feels like videos because there's a bunch of them, but that's why I didn't make a promise to make extra content until maybe the next year, because I wasn't sure, but I felt like doing a video. It's good to stay busy doing this more creative stuff sometimes, even though this is hardly creative. This is just me talking in a microphone staring at a screen. But anyway, this game came out sometime fairly close after September 11th, so it's I don't know, like late 2001, maybe early 2002. It came out around the time, and this game sold miserably. I don't know the reason exactly, because this is one of those games that anybody who's ever played it had nothing but good things to say about it. This originally came out for the PlayStation 2, original Xbox, GameCube, and for the PC. I think the HD version's available for the PC as well. I don't know. I actually got this HD version for like $3. I think when it came out brand new it was $14. But this was a $50 game when it first came out. And like within a month it was $20. I couldn't believe it, and I remember wanting it, and it was somewhat hard to find for some reason. I don't know why. You think you'd be able to find it easy because it was selling so well. But anyway, I ended up getting this game for like $20 on the PlayStation 2. I still have my original copy, but I figured since it's YouTube, it'd probably look better if I use the HD version, even if it's cropped a little bit. Typically I leave the bars on the side, but I wanted to try something new, so if you guys don't like it being cropped or whatever, I apologize. I just wanted to see what it would look like once the video renders, and I still don't know. If I don't like the effect, I won't ever do it again. And depending on the game, because I also looked at the HUD and stuff, if the HUD was clipped off anyway, I would have left it with the bars on the side. But that's why with the PlayStation 3, I have another video recorder, but that one doesn't do HDMI, and it requires the computer to be hooked up to it, and all of the main consoles I play are in the living room, the computer's in the bedroom, and it's just a hassle. I do have a laptop, but it's like having all these wires around, and clutter's like a pet peeve thing for me, and sometimes I'm willing to sacrifice the video in order to not have clutter, unfortunately. Because I'm one of those people that it's a big to do. If I have to hook everything up, I'm gonna have to go through the stages of unhooking everything up, and I can't leave a mess and be happy with it. I have to clean up afterwards. So it makes the videos, even though it's not stressful, it just makes it harder than it needs to be. And I always feel like with my videos, at least, for whatever reason, I appreciate it, but you're here for my commentary. If you just wanted to see the game, you'd probably watch a walkthrough or playthrough or whatever the hell you want to classify those types of videos as. I don't know. But this is a fantastic game. It got fantastic reviews, and everybody ignored it. And it's a really deep game. As I was saying before, this came out a year or close to a year after September 11th happened, which was a pretty huge deal in the US. I wasn't living in any other country at the time. I'm sure it was a big deal to other countries too, depending on where you are. But it was really one of the first times that, I guess, I don't like talking about like this political stuff, but I mean, we had, it was the first time we had like a terrorist attack from people from a different country, and it was like broadcasted like that. I mean, we've had like domestic terrorism with like the Oklahoma City bombing and stuff like that. But anyway, it was the first time, I guess, we've ever dealt with anything like that and had it recorded like on the news. And like, think about it, when Pearl Harbor happened, that was all being done via the radio. I mean, I remember September 11th. I'm sure most Americans that were in school at the time. I was in the I would say 11th grade in high school when it happened, and like school stopped and they brought like a little TV on a cart, and we just watched as the news people told us every step of what was happening. We watched it live as it was happening, and that's a whole new experience for us. And even after September 11th, and when we had the war on terror, I don't know why I said that weird. I'm really tired, and I have like a bad headache, which is the perfect time to record, but I really wanted to do this. Like I said, I've been going through a lot, and sometimes these videos and just talking helps. I'm not talking about the most positive thing in the world, but it's still something to talk about, and it's relevant to this game, I promise you. But anyway, so yeah, like, people have the option of going to like the gym and talking about it, but most of us chose to watch. We just never saw something. It was like watching a science fiction film, but it was live, and it was just so bizarre, and it was the most bizarre thing. And I know in a lot of countries, like, terrorist attacks from that aren't domestic are like more common and happened before and everything like that. But I think what really made this even crazier is that we were kind of at already the internet age. I don't think YouTube and stuff like that, or websites like YouTube, were up, and the camera phone wasn't prevalent, but we were getting close to that age where like just information is instantaneous, and it's almost like even though you weren't there, you weren't were kind of, and you watch everything step by step, and the media just became almost part of your family, like it was in your house all the time, and you just had to trust what these people were telling you, whether you did or not. But I'm just saying, like, that's what they kind of expected you to do. And so a lot of different feelings were developed from that, from people telling you basically what their opinions were, because they were in a position of power. And sometimes when you're in a position of power, people tend to listen to you and believe you more. And sometimes you would have anger and feelings of hatred towards other people or other countries or other groups and stuff like that, and your opinion wasn't molded by your own thoughts. It was kind of sometimes molded by someone else if you didn't have the capacity to think for yourself a little bit. And sometimes even when you do have the capacity to think for yourself, sometimes you let your emotions and vulnerability and stuff like that think for you, and you end up developing opinions that aren't necessarily yours. Now, where this game comes in, this game covered a lot of that, and like how the media influences people. So you play as Jade, a journalist. As you can see here, she's taking pictures. And the game starts out showing you the media, how they're portraying certain people as certain types of heroes and archetypes and all this stuff. And as you progress through the game, you realize that things aren't necessarily the way they are just because you're told that way. And that's all about what this game is about. So it's called Beyond Good and Evil because, I mean, we have our... I'm not going to get into religion and stuff like that, or debates or politics or anything like that. I'm trying to be very loose as possible. That's why it's taking me some longer than usual to say it, because I don't want to say the wrong thing on a popular format. My channel isn't huge. I don't do this for a huge amount of views, but I don't want to alienate my friends and stuff. And I consider you guys friends if you support the channel by just like commenting to me. You're like my virtual peers, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to comment and watching my channel so much. You don't even know. Sometimes I'll have a shitty day and I'll just see somebody place one comment, and it can just make that day that much better. But anyway, yeah, so I don't want to do that, but you know, let's not take our religious views in account, because I mean, some people aren't religious, some people have different belief systems. At the end of the day, no matter how you look at it, there's no such thing as a universal morality, meaning that not everybody believes in the same thing. So one person's good is another person's bad, etc., etc., and this game kind of explores that. Now, the problem with this game is, even though it has really cool mechanics, like basically this game takes the photography aspect from Pokemon Snap. I don't know if you ever played that game, but it was a game, it didn't even have all, at the time there was only 150 Pokemon. Here's an example of me trying to poorly take pictures now. The first Pokemon games, there was Red, Blue. Eventually there came the Yellow Pikachu edition that had Pikachu in it, and you had Pikachu follow you around, but it was essentially the same game with a little bit of extra text in it. But you know, I went batshit crazy, as a lot of people my age did. And I remember when I took, well, he willingly gave it, but I felt bad. He didn't know what he was doing, but I needed it. He had a red version and I had the blue version, and I believe I took his Charizard or one of the Pokemon that I couldn't get. No, I think I took his evolved Squirtle. I can't remember what the evolved version is. I actually really I haven't played all the Pokemon games, but they're really fun if you like kind of simplified RPGs on the go. But yeah, so Pokemon Snap was this game where you were on like this little on rails ride and you had a camera and you had to take pictures of different animals and stuff. Since you're a journalist on here, to get extra credits and stuff like that, or whatever the currency is in this game, you as I'm watching this, I should be able to tell you, but I'm looking down and fidgeting with the coin because I'm trying to think about what I'm going to say. But because I'm reminiscing about Pokemon. But anyway, it's strange how Pokemon's so near and dear to our hearts, because back in the day I was like all ashamed about it and kept it quiet, you know. Only a few of us played it, even if we were older. I was fairly old to be playing Pokemon. I was when that game first came out, I was probably like, I don't know, like in the 7th or 8th grade. I was almost in high school, but there weren't a lot of RPGs on the Game Boy, and that was just the perfect one. The Game Boy had such a long life. I started playing Game Boy when I was about, 7 years old, and I was still playing it in middle school, and it wasn't even the color one wasn't even out yet. I think we had Game Boy Pockets back then, which was essentially a smaller Game Boy that ran on AAA's. It didn't last nearly as long as the bulky one, but the screen was really nice. It was almost like a black and white screen, still not backlit. There was a Game Boy Light, but it never came to the West. But I'm getting off topic. I've been off topic, but anyway, you have like this photo thing like Pokemon Snap. You have the battle system of Zelda Ocarina of Time, which basically has the Z targeting. Z targeting, if you don't know, is a fancy way of locking on with a trigger, with a Tigger from Winnie the Pooh, with a trigger, and kind of running around the enemy and being able to hit them. I mean, there's better automatic locking on aiming systems now in 3D games that are a lot more subtle, but during this time they're still kind of perfecting the gameplay of like action oriented 3D games, because, you know, even though this is like the PlayStation 2, this is only like the second generation of consoles that really had the capacity of making games in 3D space, and a lot of the 3D games were going around something jumping, and I don't know why, but pouncing things with your ass was like a thing in a lot of 3D games, unless it was like a shooter or something. But yeah, Z targeting was a thing for a long time. You don't see it too much anymore. You don't really see a lot of 3D games anymore, but I've noticed like with more 3D games nowadays, there aren't as much as a lock-on targeting system. Like the game kind of calculates everything for you, but they called it Z targeting back in the day, because the Nintendo 64, you know, it had like the 3 little handles on it. It was weird. It was shaped like an M almost. And when you played 3D games, your hand was in the middle little handle with the analog stick on it, and under the middle handle there was like a little trigger button, and it had the letter Z on it. And when you played Zelda, you'd hold that down to lock on, and that was called Zelda the Ocarina of Time. And to be more specific, that's the first game that I remember actually doing it, and that's where that term was pinned, was Z targeting. Man, we're pretty far in this video and I'm rambling about nonsense. But yeah, so it had that, which was perfect at the time. Like everybody wanted that system in their 3D fighting game. So that was flawless. It had the stealth of Metal Gear Solid. It had great storytelling. I personally like the art style. I think it's fairly unique. It had not the largest open world, but an open world that would unlock, which is kind of close to the way Zelda was. But you have the hovercraft, which you kind of see it's kind of not in the best condition right now, but we'll get it up and running before the end of the video, I promise. Spoiler alert, not that it was spoiled, but the issues this game dealt with like the media, like influencing one's opinion and people appearing to be good, and the media portraying certain figures as heroes and stuff like that. I mean, a little kid could understand the basics of the story, but the story this game was trying to tell was based on some pretty heavy shit at the time. And I think that with all the stuff going on in the world now, and with the advent of YouTube and even more ways to get your news and shit like that, I think this game is even more relevant. So they said they're working on a sequel, and I really hope it comes out, and I hope that they still stick with this theme, because it's just as relevant, if even more so today, because there's even more of that duality of beyond good and evil, like people having conflicted opinions, people cover the same stories and give you completely different like versions of it, and you gotta pick and choose, and you really have to form your own opinion. I mean, you can do what you want, but I feel like you're really failing yourself if you don't think for yourself. But you can do what you want. You can willingly listen to whoever you want to, and if they tell you something's bad, if you just want to believe it just on their word, feel free. But I feel like we've evolved to have brains for a reason, and we should use them. I don't know. I know I'm saying like very like obvious things here, but some people aren't even aware that like their opinions are formed by other people. But there are people like that out there, and this game tries to cover that aspect of things, and it especially has to do with the media. That's why you're playing as a journalist. She kind of has her mind made up about certain aspects and stuff like that, and as she goes on through her adventure, she learns that things aren't always what they seem. Now, the only thing I can think of that this game didn't sell, because it's such an awesome game, and that's why I think they came up with the HD version to kind of feel people out. But with these re-releases that are digital only, they don't get any advertising, they barely get covered. So if you didn't know about the game back in the day, which is in my opinion one of the best 6th gen games that come out, like one of my favorite, like it has like so much to offer. It has RPG elements and everything in it. RPG as in talking, you don't really get to level up and stuff, but you can explore and talk and interact. You're essentially role playing. Some people use the term RPG elements just like if a game has elements where you level up, but to me, role playing is a very vast genre and is defined by many different things. So the way I would consider this having role playing aspects is the way that you talk to people and interact with the world, and you get to see things around you, and it just has such a somber tone, and it really hits some emotional strings, and you really care about these characters. They're well written, they're designed well, and I really think there's three things. First of all, the title, Beyond Good and Evil. It's like, it makes sense for the game, but if you didn't know anything about the game, it's kind of like a ambiguous like title. You don't really know what the heck the game's going to be about. Also, the art style probably scared a lot of older people away, who I think would have gotten the most out of this game. This is the RPG elements that I'm telling you about, where you have the choice to say what you want to. But yeah, I think the core audience that would have enjoyed it the most missed out on it, because it looks like a cutesy little kids game a little bit. And I think with the sequel, they've given it a more mature look to try to appeal to like a older crowd, because the themes in this game, even though a kid can get it, are pretty heavy, and you get so much more out of it if you're aware of the state of the world and keep up with it and stuff like that. And just the mechanics and everything in the game are great. Some of the stealth elements can be frustrating, but I don't know of any stealth games that don't have frustrating moments. But you can get this cheap on Xbox Live Arcade or PlayStation Network. I don't know what it costs now, but even if it was $14, I think it's way worth the money. I thought it was worth $50 back in the day. I couldn't believe, like, within a month's time, this game was like $20. Like, I couldn't believe it. I got a brand new game, and to me it felt just as good as like a AAA title like Zelda and the Ocarina of Time. And I think Ubisoft was kind of expecting it to be popular too, and we have yet to get a sequel to this game. And this game had a Empire Strikes Back like open ending that they were expecting to make a sequel to, because they thought this game was going to be bigger than it was. But thank you guys for watching.
If you want to, like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.